This is a joke. It's a joke.
Wait, I'm sorry. If somebody joked about you and said, oh my gosh, she's drinking every single night, she's got a drinking problem, you would be like, okay, let me call the lawyer up and file a defamation lawsuit.
No, I definitely would not.
You really would be okay with the Vice President of the United States claiming repeatedly in public that you have a drinking problem.
On her CNN program, Abby Phillip engaged in a heated discussion with two MAGA commentators, Batya Anger-Sargon and Kristen Davidson. The conversation revolved around Vice President J.D. Vance, who has been repeatedly cracking so-called jokes about Kamala Harris supposedly having a drinking problem and displaying generally troll-like behavior. Joining Abby Phillip in this debate were Anna Navarro and Ashley Allison, who went head-to-head with the MAGA voices on the panel. We're about to watch some clips from Abby Phillip's show as this spirited exchange unfolds. Let's jump right into it.
Tonight, Vice President Vance is insulting his predecessor, not for her policies or for anything to do with the Biden administration, but with a smear, claiming that she has a drinking problem.
I'm envious of Kamala Harris. The reason why I've been able to do a lot is because the president trusts me and he's empowered me with a lot of responsibilities. And it's made the job a lot of fun. I mean, as much as I joke about, I kind of wish that I could sleep until, 1 o'clock, take a couple of phone calls and then, hit the bottle after that, which I think was the Kamala Harris approach to being vice president. It would be really boring.
This is really, I want to be shocked, but it's not the first time he said it. To say that someone has a drinking problem just because you or whoever else made that up is wild to me, that would come out of the mouth of a sitting vice president.
Yeah, but I mean, he called her basically garbage on the campaign trail. So I'm not surprised. What does J.D. Vance do all day? Like, what is he actually doing? I don't know what he does as vice president.
A lot of podcasts.
Yeah, he seems to be on a press tour. So maybe he should keep her name out of his mouth.
You okay with that?
I think everyone needs to, Democrats, I really want you guys to, have a comeback and start winning again. You got to relax and not take everything so seriously. I think that's why JD is a lot more popular than Harris and anyone else.
What
this is a joke.
About?
It's a joke.
Wait, I'm sorry. If somebody joked about you and said, oh my gosh, she's drinking every single night, she's got a drinking problem, you would be like, okay, let me call the lawyer up and file a defamation lawsuit.
No, I definitely would not.
You really would be okay with the Vice President of the United States claiming repeatedly in public that you have a drinking problem. Let me just play what he said earlier this year about the same thing. I mean, it goes even beyond just that insinuation that he made in that interview. Listen.
You talked earlier about the role of the vice president and how it's different with each presidency. How are you doing the job differently than Kamala did it?
Well, I don't have, 4 shots of vodka before every meeting. That's one way I think that Kamala really tried to bring herself into the role is these word salads. And I think that I would need the help of a lot of alcohol to answer a question the way that Kamala Harris answered questions.
What are we doing here, Batya? I mean, let's just for a second, just talk about decency. Are we done with that now?
I'm kind of with Kristen. I thought it was funny.
How is that funny?
I gave him a really hard time 2 weeks ago because he excused the young Republican chat, which included the N-word and praise of Hitler. And that is the kind of thing that is not funny. It needs to be condemned. We talked about it here. This to me is just, I don't know. I just thought it was hilarious.
Democrats said that he had a thing with a couch.
Is funny.
And we thought that was
making fun of her word salads.
Not all Democrats.
And
he said in that interview that she hits the bottle every afternoon. He said in another interview she has 4 shots of vodka before every meeting. Look, I just think it's a question of basic decency. There are people who are alcoholics, but to then just smear somebody who was the vice president, whether you like her policies or not.
This was a narrative that they ran with. Republicans during the campaign trying to paint Kamala in that light. I feel that it's stupid and sophomoric, and there's no evidence to that, unlike the evidence that there is of the drinking problem that the Secretary of Defense had, for which there is plenty of. But I also think, look, we're getting too used to this. and normalizing behavior that is simply beneath the office, right? I mean, regardless of who holds the office, there's behavior that is simply beneath the office of the vice president or of the U.S. president, and we shouldn't accept that or normalize it or laugh it off or, you know.
Can I ask you ladies what you thought of AOC's attack on Riley Gaines this week, where she said if you put this much fight into your swimming, you wouldn't have come in fifth? Like, did you think that that was funny, or did that violate your sense of decency as well? Like,
Didn't
she also make fun of one of the male? She said someone was short. I feel like she's gone after similar. She's had some crude.
You're talking about Jasmine Crockett.
Oh yeah. Well, there's been some crude jokes there. Just like how Gavin Newsom, who essentially just launched his presidential campaign, tweets pictures of couches at JD. Look, I don't like the humor. Women typically don't like the humor, but that's the podcast culture.
Listen. There's a lot to unpack here. First off, Kristen Davidson is acting like Democrats are being overly dramatic, even though MAGA supporters are the real experts at pearl clutching. It wasn't long ago that the Charlie Kirk controversy happened, and those same people were calling for others to be fired over jokes. The hypocrisy couldn't be clearer. Then you have both Kristen Davidson and Batya Engar-Sargon claiming they found J.D. Vance's remarks hilarious, yet Kristen suddenly dislikes humor the moment it comes from a Democrat. When AOC jokes that Riley Gaines placed fifth or makes fun of someone's height, it might sound harsh, but at least it's rooted in truth. That's completely different from J.D. Vance spreading false claims about Kamala Harris supposedly having a drinking problem. Abby Phillip nailed it when she told Kristen that she'd probably want to take legal action if someone made those kinds of lies about her. Ana Navarro also made a strong point. MAGA continues to degrade the dignity of public office, a trend that began with Donald Trump. For all his flaws, Trump has a strange kind of charisma that no one else in MAGA can replicate, no matter how hard they try to copy his insult-driven shtick. As one of my friends likes to say, no one can Trump like Trump, and that couldn't be more accurate. J.D. Vance simply doesn't have the wit or delivery to make his mockery entertaining. Personally, I appreciate dark humor, but Vance's attempts come off awkward and forced, and there's always a right moment and setting for that kind of thing. Recently, young YouTuber Harry Sisson appeared in an AI video shared by Trump, where he's shown flying a fighter jet over protesters. Harry joked online, asking why he was even featured in that clip. And J.D. Vance snidely responded, "Oh, I can ask for you." Harry clapped back with, "Put me in the Signal chat then," which was actually clever. But really, why is the Vice President of the United States spending time trolling people on social media? As Ana Navarro pointed out, doesn't he have more important things to do? It's as if his only job is being a professional troll in this administration. Sure, vice presidents often take on ceremonial duties, but Vance seems to have turned the role into something petty and immature, which fits the overall MAGA playbook. They're not focused on real governance or helping people. While Americans are losing their SNAP benefits and struggling with poverty, J.D. Vance is busy mocking Kamala Harris. The whole movement behaves like a group of middle school kids whose sole purpose is to own the libs.
Couch thing is also incredibly stupid. And
You can say it's stupid
look,
and not spend a whole
I've
panel on
said
it
that
talking
before.
about it.
I mean, I think it is beneath
So if
the dignity of our politics
if I made
to
a
engage in
joke
that kind of
about
thing. So that's not anything that I
would think it was funny.
I wouldn't sit here and say
Well,
sternly
hold
that we
on
need to
though.
get back to decency.
Hold on, because unlike with Kamala Harris, for whom there is no evidence that she has a drinking problem. With Pete Hegseth, when he was under confirmation, there was several reports of him having had a drinking problem.
But okay, J.D. Vance is running for president, presumptively.
Has somebody told Trump? I thought Trump was running for 2020.
And is
the only
this what
person
he
that
thinks?
said they are
Is this
Gavin.
what he thinks is going to do it?
I don't know. Gavin's
The
doing
podcast
it,
circuit,
and he just launched.
You know, all
This
of that.
is literally what Gavin Newsom is doing.
What was funny to me was J.D. Vance saying that he's going to run with Marco Rubio as vice president. I'm wondering what Marco Rubio is feeling about who's going to be on top.
He's over there in China right now while J.D. Vance is back here on podcast.
On podcast.
Everyone, thank you very much for being here.
In the grand scheme of things, J.D. Vance being a troll might not be the biggest issue in the world, but Abby Phillip makes some powerful points about how low our political discourse has fallen. This decline didn't start with Vance. It's been building for years, even down to petty things like Republicans deliberately saying Democrat Party instead of Democratic Party, a cheap jab that's been around for decades. Still, it's clear that Vance and many others are trying to mimic Donald Trump's insult comic routine, but none of them can pull it off the way he does. Honestly, it would be refreshing to see this kind of behavior disappear from politics entirely. When Vance jokes that he's just trying to have fun and that the job gets boring otherwise, it really shows he's not taking his position seriously. If you find serving as vice president dull, you shouldn't be in that office, let alone aiming for the presidency. I'd love to see Republicans and MAGA figures start acting like serious leaders instead of online trolls. On Abby Phillip's show the other night, Anna Navarro brought up whether Trump plans to run again, and when the topic came up, commentators like Scott Jennings brushed it off, saying, "Oh, he's just joking," or "he's trolling." But at what point do we stop excusing everything as a joke? In future presidential debates, moderators should press candidates by asking, how will voters know when you're joking versus when you're announcing real policy? Because with MAGA, it's become a pattern. They hide behind humor until it turns out the so-called joke was actually serious. This kind of trolling has no place at the highest levels of government, where real lives are impacted, where decisions determine whether people can afford food, whether bombs are dropped in another country, or whether troops are sent overseas. Yet, as I've said before, MAGA operates with the maturity of teenage boys. What do you think about all this? Do you agree with Abby Phillip, Anna Navarro, and Ashley Allison's take on the situation? Or do you side with the MAGA pundits Batya Anger-Sargon and Kristen Davidson, who dismissed it all by saying, they're just joking? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next video.